Just few information before Professor Peproof start with his webinar. Since 10 years ago, more than 60 organizations from all over the Spain collaborate in the Independent Living Network of Down España, where they develop different models and activities to support the independent life and the social inclusion of people with Down syndrome and other situations of the intellectual disabilities. I would like to ask Professor Peproof, Ignatius, please, could you start and inform us about the project and activities, what you did and doing in Spain? Thank you very much that you come and present to us this project.
First of all, thank you to ETSA for the invitation, for sharing this evening with you on that webinar. Before to start my presentation, I would like to apologize because I hope my English level is enough to explain all the things I introduced in my presentation. I hope it's enough understandable for all of you. And secondly, I hope everything is okay. If you see I'm moving my face all the time, it's because I have some troubles with my computer and Zoom. So I'm talking through my cell phone and I have my presentation on the computer. So for that reason, sometimes you can see me moving my face. Okay. So as you know, I'm the coordinator of the National Network of Down España about independent living. We spent some years working on that rules with some colleagues all over different cities in Spain. And I would like to introduce all the job we are doing in our country, okay? As you know, Down España is a federation of more than 88 organizations all over Spain. Organizations who are working to develop different models of support, training, research, and awareness applying the UN Convention in the case of people with Down syndrome and other situations of intellectual disability. On that case, our network, the Independent Living National Network, it's composed by 62 organizations from different cities in our country, who we are working for develop different activities, services, materials, and proposals supporting independent life for all those people. Okay, we start in 1221 with professionals from these organizations, and 2 years ago we incorporate different men and women as users of the services of independent life from our organizations, because we want to introduce their voices in our job, in our activities, and our proposals. So actually, our network is composed by more than 100 people working on our activities. We define a manifesto we declare at the beginning of our job, which defines our common philosophy, objectives, and action we want to develop. We understand independent living as a situation in which the people with Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities exercises control on their own decisions and or existence, and participates in the community on equal conditions than the rest of citizens in our country. Okay, in accordance with the right to the free development of his own personality as a human beings. In that case, for us, independent living means self-determination and social inclusion, and that's the base of our understanding. And our manifesto, the network declares the principles that must to guide our proposals, our activities. And our principles are to recognize independent living as a right for all people, independently of their characteristics and independently about the kind of disability or the level of the support do they need. Also, independent living supposes a life itinerary through all stages of his life, from birth until death. Also, independent living involves a process to build an opportunity to build their own project of life, separated from their family project of lives. We'll talk about that. Also requires a change of new professional and parental practices oriented towards self-determination and not through overprotection, as we knew traditionally. Also, independent living makes possible the access as a full adult and citizen role. And at last, independent living requires the accessibility of all social environments, products, services, etc. The proposals of our network are to promote social policies related with independent living. We collaborate in different workshops, groups, commissions with our governments, developing, defending the right to an independent life. In commissions or workshops related with personal assistance, desinstitutionalization initiatives, etc. Okay. The second proposal of our network is to develop and to prevent the institutionalization of those people as a tradition in our country. Another one is to promote the diversity of models and services to guarantee the adaptation to different personal needs. So we don't defend a unique model of service, and we don't defend that independent life it's only for some kind of people with disability. We defend independent life, it's a right for everyone. And at last, we want to design different support models for inclusion of those people and all environments, products, and services in our community. As you can imagine, we have different legal frameworks, starting with the UN Convention of Rights of People with Disability, of course, especially about the Articles 19 and 12, but the rest too. Also, we are orientated through the European Strategy on Rights of Persons with Disabilities 2021-2030 from Europe, specifically about quality of life and independent living. And also in our country, we have different laws, but basically we have two big laws that they guide all the development of social services and social policies in our country. They are the law of the promotion of personal autonomy and care on dependency, and also the general law of the rights of people with disability and social inclusion. That last, it's the most important actually in our country, okay? As you know, the Article 19 of the UN Convention declares the right to live independently and to be included in the community. That it means three big things. The first, it's the right to the opportunity to decide where, with who you want to live. Secondly, to have guaranteed the access to different models of home care, residential care, and community support services. And at last, to have accessible community services on equal terms than the rest of the population. We have different theoretical and methodological bases: the social model of disability, the independent living movement, the quality of life model, the quality of life, the family quality of life model too, the concept of self-determination, the model of support from the American Association in Intellectual Disabilities and Development, the methodology about person, planet,
I'm so sorry, it looks like that our professor, we can't hear him now. We'll have short interrupt. Oh, Professor, you are come back.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I fall from the call from the connection.
Yes, just continue. Thanks.
Okay, so I was saying you we base our job in the methodology of person-centered planning, and at last we work on universal and cognitive accessibility of all the services, resources, products, and environments. Okay. Through all these years, before the network starts, many of our organizations were developing yet different models of services and activities oriented to independent living. For that, we started in 2011 exactly, and but we have more experience than the last 12 years. So the different services we knew through all these years in our network have the objectives of the rules to promote personal autonomy and personal well-being, promote self-determination of people with Down syndrome, promote emancipation from the families and disinstitutionalization from residential services and all kind of segregated services, to build their own project of life, to improve the quality of life of those people, to design and offer support and personal support services and personal assistance, to promote social inclusion, to encourage peer support, mediation for the accessibility of the community resources, and guidances and attention to the families. I think you have to move the slides because I'm more advanced than can I see in the screen. If you can pass the slide. Hello, can you hear me? More, one more, please.
Okay, our Turkish friends.
One more, please. One, exactly. At last, I would like to introduce you our portfolio of services. When we start as a network, the first thing we did was to share our experiences for define the most common services and activities we were developing in our organizations. So at last of all this job, we defined 6 kind of services and activities or projects we are developing. That it's good also now at this time. The first thing we identified was different kind and models of training activities, courses or workshops for people with Down syndrome or intellectual disability on different formats with different contents in a different transversal skills or specific skills for personal autonomy. That it means to taking care by themselves of their own health, social skills, self-care, housework, mobility, technology, etc. For example, okay? We have a large experience making trainings, making workshops for all those people on that kind of skills. I can tell you, since they finish their obligatory education, most of our organizations organize different courses to promote, to facilitate the transition through the educational period into the social and employment inclusion. The second model of services, it was learning homes. I think I'm in the previous slide, please. This is the next. I'm not yet on this one. One before, please. The second model of services, the different kind. No. Okay, thank you. So the second kind of services was or are learning homes, different models of apartments where people with disability can live temporary. They are apartments where they work temporary with different models, methodologies, and duration. We know apartments where the people stay there maybe for a weekend, maybe for a week, maybe for a walk or for a month, maybe for a semester. We know different models. Usually the rule of these services are to explore the experience to live out from the family home. That means an experience for the people with Down syndrome or intellectual disability, and also is an experience for the family to live without their member with disability out of home. Okay, they are different models on that case, and not all the organizations in our country are this kind of services. Another different model is different concepts of shared housing, that it means apartments where they live people with or without disability. Usually the most frequent are shared housing or shared homes between people with disability. But in some cases, it's a specific model where they live temporary with people without disability. Usually they are students from different colleges related about social education, psychology, all these fields. And they explore the experience to cohabitate between people with and without, and also to bring support as a natural support, in a more regular, normalized profiles of cohabitation. Slide, please. The next service we identified, it was for me the most important of all. It's different models of personal support or personal assistance. As you know, the international movement of independent living defines the personal assistance as the most important service to guarantee the access to the community, to access into a independent life for all kind of people, for all kind of disabilities. So also for people with Down syndrome and also for people with intellectual disabilities. In our case, the personal assistance, it's very related with the access to the information, is a kind of cognitive assistance, and also the mediation with the environment, with the process related in the daily life. Another kind of activities we identified very important are the self-advocacy groups. That it means different groups of people with disability who they meet frequently into the organizations to put in common the experience, the knowledge about their own collective indications about rights and duties. All these groups of self-advocacy, we have some years of tradition, around 20 years of tradition of these groups. In some cases, some of these groups, they develop new spaces as assemblies. In Spain, for example, and in Barcelona, I work in Barcelona, in Catalonia. We have the Down Syndrome Catalan Foundation, where we can find the Assembly of Human Rights Montserrat Torreta. It has an evolution of from a self-advocacy group, and they create and they are developing different kind of spaces and activities and materials vindicating his rights and making awareness about what are the duties and what are the rights. Also, some of the members of these assemblies, they was incorporated in different positions of regional or national organizations, and also in some civic spaces of representation of the rights of people with disability. And at last, thank you. And at last, another very important service we identify as a promoting independent life for our population was the inclusive leisure services. That's they define and they works to make possible the access into different recreational, sporting, and cultural activities, always in the community, always on equal conditions the rest of the population. Okay. This is the portfolio of the typology of the services most frequent in our organizations. Now let me explain you, let me show you some actions and projects also that we developed in our network. Slide, please. One more. Thank you. Our network, we meet frequently, sometimes, as you can see in the pictures, in person. The last year since the pandemic of COVID, we move in Zoom. Zoom it's our regular environment. So we meet to share our experience, to put in common our plans, our actions, our projects, sorry, and also to make different trainings for all the professionals and representatives who participate in our network. Slide. Also, we have a digital platform. It's our social media that make possible for us to be connected between all of us during all the year, independently of the workshops or the meetings we have. Also, we can share the different materials, different documents, different informations, and so means some sense of community through the whole year. Okay, slide please. During all these years, we create different materials, different publications. Most of them, as you can see now, related with, for us, important aspects about independent life. One of the first thing we made, it's not included here, but the first publication we did was the model of independent life, where you can find all the declarations about how our network understands and visualize how is or how must to be independent life of people with Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities. Okay, so the first was this itinerary of autonomy and independent life with orientation and descriptive guide to the milestones, obstacles, facilitators, and supports that the person and their family can find in the different stage of life towards an independent life. Divided by different stages, you can see on that publication all these aspects. We think it's a good guidance, especially for people, especially for families, and also for professionals. Slides. Another publication we did, it's a guide of self-advocacy for people with disability and for their families, with some conceptual and theoretical aspects, but also with practical resources for self-defense processes in front of situations of discriminations when these people can find it on that situation. Slide, please. 10 years ago, we published a a definition of the profile, the functions, the training, the skills, and the strategies related with the figure of personal assistant for people with Down syndrome and intellectual disabilities. Actually, the publication is under revision, but because it's 10 years old and the reality has changed a lot in our country. Slide. Another publication we did is this is one of the last we did it. It's a guide related about edu life and aging, with the description of different signs of detection, early detection, support and monitoring indicators for the transition to the old age into the from the audio age to old age in aspects related with health, training, employment, housing, community life, etc. Slide, please. One of the last publications we did, this is not yet ready, but I think this month or maybe in April it will be published. It's a guide related about strategies to facilitate the access on and participation in different governance spaces in our organizations and all kind of organizations and civic life environments. This guide, it will be available very soon. Slide, please. And at last, we prepare, this is not ready yet. Also, it will be available very soon. Another guide related about with different guidances promoting communication skills at the events and in the media for all the representatives of our network and of our organization who they are participating in different spaces of governances. Okay, all this slide, please. All these publications, you can find it in our website and the website of Down Spain. Okay, Down España. Okay. Also, another kind of activities we develop, it's different courses, online courses related with human rights. Slide. Courses about self-advocacy for families to defend or to manage different situations of discrimination related with their families. Slide. And also we publicate a flyer related about inclusive leisure. That material was distributed, I think it's okay, by, hello? I'm sorry, was distributed in different environments and contexts in the community by users of those services as a strategy of awareness and raising, okay, to make to define the importance about inclusion and to bring some guidance to different resources in the community about how to be more accessible for people with Down syndrome or people with intellectual disability. Slide, please. We organize and we participate in different meetings from Down España and other organizations. Also, we organize different meetings with young people to share, to talk about their preoccupations and their proposals. Slide. And actually, we are involved in different challenges in the next future as to promote independent living programs in front of the promotion of residential or segregated places. In Spain, that's the usual thing, actually, to extend the intensities of personal or personal support or assistance through all kind of disabilities, all kind of intensities of support, claiming the access to the housing for people with disability. As you can imagine, people with Down syndrome can rent or can buy an apartment in our country. We want to explore new formulas to support the labor market in the ordinary labor market. Also, we want to ensure accessibility and full social inclusion in all the environments. And at last, we are really involved to develop and to design different strategies preventing and addressing the aging of our population. That it means to develop models to take care an active and healthy aging for all those people. Slide. I think we finished. I can see it, but okay. In the last slide, it was my thank you. If you want, we can share all your questions, all your comments about all these activities. Thanks.
Hi, Professor Pepe. It was very, very nice to hear on the one place all important information what you did in Spain, and some activities what we know that in now several associations in several European countries, some association are doing. And really it's nice to see and hear all this your experience. Until now, I could see that we don't have any questions about this this webinar, but I would like to ask one question. On your website, I saw that you had an online course. You had a course for about this topic. Is that course is available only people when you are making some groups, like example about independent living, or it's that because I can see that somebody go in.
I can understand which course are you talking about.
Okay, when I come to your network and it's mentioned course categories, and I put the networks and they get down Spain National Network for Independent Living, I don't see something what is available for us who are looking. Or it's that you have a courses not via this network, or maybe you have okay on different way that course, maybe in the paper, maybe in some other tips, you know.
No,
I see possibilities in the on the web, but maybe you didn't develop on the that type, yeah.
Okay,
you just have a document.
I understand now. And our on Down España website, it's available only the publications. All the online courses we made, it's only for users of the services of the organizations members of our network. Okay, and usually these courses has a temporality, a specific temporality. You know, we don't have. We have only publicated the results of the courses we made during the different years about human rights, but it's just a report, a brief report of conclusions about related with the conclusions of the users, the participants of these courses. But actually, we don't have the courses available for other organizations. Maybe we can talk about that with Down España.
Yeah, maybe it will be good for some future in some European projects to have for this topic, because they're very interesting. You know, we have more and more young people who are living in our countries, like example to the Europe, and it's not so easy for a small association to start up some things, and it's very good if we have advice from you who are very big and you have a lot of experience for this. Just some suggestion. Yeah, but in meantime we have some question or comments. Okay, first one, it's are all documents available in French or English? What I know, it's only in Spanish, but please, maybe you know better than me.
Yes, unfortunately, I have to say it's only available on Spanish. You have all the documents available on the website on PDF. You can download, you can print it, okay? And also you can use some translators if you want. Feel free, okay?
Yeah, thank you. I know that for our colleagues who are listening us, yes, it's okay to translate PDF. Is no problem by Google. Even they're not so bad, I could say. Even some colleagues who are translators said it's not too bad. They are better and better every day. Thank you very much, Professor. I know that it's possible to download from side of the Down España all documents. I think some small amount of the donation, because I download several times, and I know it's possible in very, very small donations if you put. I would like to ask people who are translating Turkish if they help me about this question. Okay, and now we have a question. Can this family and advocacy course, let's see, I'm sorry, I have to go to the chat. Can this family and advocacy courses be made and by translating?
You have available the guide about self-advocacy with different materials and different contents. It's on Spanish. Also, it's a document, it's a publication in our website, and you can find it in Spanish. You can download as the rest of the publications, and you can to translate by yourself if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Sorry. We have another question from Camila Skora. It's a question in English, and it's easy for you and me. In that case, you mentioned that the situation has changed in the last 10 years. Can you please explain how? Is there more inclusion now, or are persons with Down syndrome and their families more aware of their rights? And thank you for answer.
Okay, yes, in the last 10 years, very slowly and not enough, things are changing in our country, and our organizations, every time we develop more experiences and models supporting independent life. Also, 20 years, I started working on independent life in Barcelona 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. And at this time, independent living, for me, independent living means the chance, the opportunity to make a transition, an emancipation from a family home or a disinstitutionalization. First of all, in my experience, from residential services, okay? 20 years ago, it was very, very, very unusual thing. Actually, in Catalonia, my region, with 7 million, with a population of 7 million, okay? Yes. We have more than 1,500 people with intellectual disability living by themselves. That it means alone, by couple, with some friend in their own apartments, okay? This is not enough because actually in my region, it's a lot of people with intellectual disability living or with their families or into an institutions. But this is the reality now in my country. But you know, thanks to the UN Convention, and very slowly, we have a new law related with the legal capacity of all these people, fortunately. Also, we have, our government is trying to develop, for example, different codes of universal accessibility for all the public and private resources in our community. Our government is trying to develop different strategies of disinstitutionalization, but I repeat, never enough, okay?
Yeah, just when you say now deinstitutionalization, we have one comment about that as well. You talk about deinstitutionalization. That means in your country, this start because of this from a UN convention, or is the process in Spain about deinstitutionalization? How this independent living it's going on because of this, or it's just starting because of everybody saw that it's much better to do on that way, independent living for the person with disabilities. Connection between these two things, independent living and deinstitutionalization, how that was done in your country. Are there any connection from between that two things?
Okay, if I understand the question, let me tell you. Actually, in Spain, most of the budget of social services for people with disability, they are invest in segregated services. Okay, residential services, still education, special education schools, still a specific and special labor services and employment services for all those people. And actually the inclusion services, or the services where we bring support to processes of independent living, are more unusual. So that's a reality in our country. As a concept, all the governments in our country, in most of the organizations, we are agree we have to move from the institutionalization into community services, personal assistance, but the changes, the practical evidences doesn't arrive yet. You know what I'm trying to say? So in that case, it's difficult to move to change that reality. I have to tell you, many of our organizations, the organization where I work, and also the other organization with I'm collaborate in our network, in Down España, most of our organizations, they develop, let me see, alternative services for people with Down syndrome. You know, we are not in the usual description of the traditional services regulated and with public budgets. So we are alternative services.
Yeah, just as a comment from Zeni Sankandi, if I translate by Google very well, they said, if there is no longer an institution, you still need a very sustained network throughout the life of people with disability to be ready for the life. Let's see, something like this. Yeah, that means, like you said, it's a good network. We have a very good network, quite a lot of services to help person when they are living independently. Doesn't matter where, with somebody or alone or in group some people.
I don't know if I understand the question.
It's not question. It's more like let's say. It's just they said, okay, this is a reality. What when you don't have any institution in that case, how to do that, to have very good network to help. But you explained, I think, earlier about this situation when you need to have good services and to develop that services for the people with disabilities who live independently. I have one question before we have another question. Maybe like example, these people who are living independently, they are also working, or maybe they are, let's say, how it's with the work. Maybe they work on open market, maybe because you say that your plan it is to have a more this possibility that people work on open market, but also maybe in some they work in some institution, like example where it's shelters work or something like that. If you would like to say a little bit about that, if you know some information. Thank you.
Okay, we have all kind of situations. Okay, in my experience, most of those people who are living by themselves in their apartments, they are working. In our experience, most of them are working in the ordinary regular labor market. Okay, in regular positions and different kind of activities and employments. But we know also people who are working in a specific services for people with disability. And also we have people who, for different circumstances, aging, health, or maybe for because they don't have the chance, they are not working, and they have some financial helps. I don't know how to say in English, but that represents some financial help from the government to pay the resources they needs in the daily life, you know?
Yeah, I understand. And we have one more comment. Does the state cover the fees of the companion assistance when you mentioned that you have that possibility as well?
Okay. Yeah, when I talk about, in my case, for example, the organization where I work, the Catalan Foundation, we are in Catalonia. In Catalonia exists a policy, a public policy, where you can have 10 hours a week of personal assistance if you live by yourself in your own apartment, alone or with other people with disabilities. This is the kind of support, okay? It's not exactly personal assistance, because personal assistance, it will be for all kind, more hours if you need it, for more intensities or more highest intensities of support if you need, okay? In Spain, in other regions, there's some experiences of personal assistance, but personal assistance in Spain, most of the cases are for people with all other kinds of disabilities. People with intellectual disability is not the first option for them, and our organizations are promoting and are claiming to the government to develop this kind of services for our population, because we think it's the best resource to access into an independent life.
Yeah, we have one question and comments from, again, Turkish. I will try to answer by Google, but I would like to ask our interpreters in Turkish, did I do that very well or not? Okay. Is prior training given to typically developing people working in the workplace? I'm a little bit strange. It's typical developing people. That's a translation of the Google. Could somebody from Turkey help us about this question?
Yeah, okay, I don't understand the
yes,
question.
I don't understand, because typical developing people are usually people without disabilities, without Down syndrome. Only if the lady or who is sent us think maybe about this support, people who are supporting person with disability, who are working in the services, I guess they are going through the different kind of the training that know how to work, how to help our person with disabilities, even on the working place or if they live independently. But please, if somebody could help us about this. We have two Turkish questions. Okay, I tried to translate this first one. Now I'll translate second one. Another one, until we maybe got more information from the Turkish team, are personal assistants employed by government. Who is the employer of these persons? Okay. Is that person with disability? Because in some country we have that situation, or maybe that is that government has in some, let's say, companies, or maybe in institution who are this kind of the assistant.
Okay. Yep. Okay. First of all, one more time, personal assistant, it's not developed all through the country. Okay. Only some cases in some regions, and depends in different models and circumstances. Okay. So actually now in our country, most of those services for people with intellectual disabilities are provided by organizations who uses public budgets usually, okay? But as you know, probably in other countries and in other disabilities, you have two ways to manage your personal assistance. Through an agency, okay, who brings you the professionals or the personal assistants all you need, or maybe through a public budget that you can manage by yourself. This is not our case actually in Spain. Okay, basically, we're people who has personal assistants, they have it through the organizations where they ask for.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I got translation for this first question, but I didn't know from Turkish. It's translated, are typically people who work in workplace given training beforehand?
Okay.
Typically people who are work in workplace given training beforehand.
I don't understand so much, but I can imagine more or less. The thing is, every kind of service, it's dependent, okay? And people who is working, it's trained by about transversal skills related with his job, okay? In Spain, and I think in other countries, we have a very large tradition developing different training programs about autonomy skills. Since I started to work as a pedagogue, I knew thousands of programs and trainings about different kinds of skills to be an adult person, to be more autonomous, to become more independent, etc., etc., etc. I always say you can make a lot of training programs, but the experience of independent life, you have to explore it every day at home, with your family, in the community, at school, at work, in the regular places. That's the best training for independent living skills. Okay?
Yeah, I agree with you. We see that that really preparation for independent living is coming from the home first, and then continue with all experience from different places in the school or in the kindergarten, even when we see with the friends after some time when they have some sport activities. That's also preparation for the independent living. Only some specific things what are important for the living alone or living with somebody needs to be in this training for preparation for independent life.
Yeah, but I think the most important, and when you start to live by yourself, alone or in couple with somebody, the most important is to have the guaranteed the support you need. The support is with you, goes with you where when you need, and you manage it, the support in the way you want. That's the most important, and I think this is the real experience of independent life.
Yeah, thank you very much. If I see we don't have some new questions, I would like to thank you so much, Professor. Really, it's okay. It's something. Okay, I hope it's the last one. Are many families willing to let their grown-up person with Down syndrome go their own way, become independent? I observed that oftentimes they are afraid of the move. It's very good question. Thanks a lot, Camila, because I had that in mind, but I forget after all. I think the biggest problem are we are families and mothers and fathers. We are so scared about this. What is your experience, Professor?
Well, it's exactly, this is my experience too. Families are really afraid about imagining their son or their daughter living alone or living out of home, okay? Also, the families I met who bring support to the decision of the son or daughter to move out of home, the first, I will say 1 year, 2 years, they don't recognize the success of the experience. They don't recognize any kind of satisfaction because they are still afraid. It's after maybe 2 years, more or less, they start to say, wow, that's good. Oh, wow, that was a good decision we made. Oh, wow, my son was right when he decided or he asked to move to live by themselves. Oh, wow, now I can be quiet about the future of my son, of my daughter. But this recognition comes late, very late and very slowly. Okay, this is a very important transition. But as you know, all the families I met in all these years, they always talking about the worry about the future when their sons or their daughters are alone. How do they live? Where do they live? You know, and the satisfaction for a parent or mother to see this future plan of this son, it's a real it's very satisfactory, you know. And some of those parents tell us, okay, now I can go in, more quiet than before, you know, because now I can see how it will be the life of my son, you know, and this is important for them. But
Yeah.
that needs the decision and the energy and the resources. Okay, independent living of people with Down syndrome, intellectual disability, only it's possible with the support of everyone involved in their project of life. Okay, and with support, and support means resources.
Yeah, well, my question is about how you, let's say, train families, how to explain to them. Did you spend some time with the families, but not just with the youngsters who are going to live independently? That's a normal that you have, but how you treat the families with some training, with
Thank,
some books. What is the best what you see?
Thanks for the question, because as I said before, we work with a methodology based in the person planet center planet methodology. Okay, that it means when a person asks us to move to live by themselves independently, the first thing we did is to create his own circle of relationships. That it means the circle where we invite, no we, the person invite all the persons involved on his project, starting by family, okay, and to putting in common all the decisions, all the analysis, all the questions related to with the decision to move to live independently, okay, and on that circles works all the project of the person. Always, all the big decisions pass through these circles of relationships. Our work on those circles, it's only to be a kind of facilitators, mostly through mediation skills or strategies between the person and his environment, his natural environments, family, neighbors, friends, other colleagues, you know, neighbors, etc., who they decide to involve and accept the invitation to participate in on their project of independent life. So our support to the families, it's basically this kind of mediation and to be there between the person and the familiars to trying to balance, you know, the self-determination with the worries of the families. Okay.
Who is the most interesting in the independent living? Parents or young people who would like to live independently?
Who is the most what? Sorry.
Most interesting independent living is the parents or young people.
Interesting.
Who would like or who activate this in the family? Who activate these possibilities? To live independently. Is that more parents say, okay, we would like that our son or daughter try or go in the project, or maybe person say, yes, I would like to go and live independently, but who could help me about this? What is
Okay.
your experience? Person with
In,
disability or family?
in the cases we met, it's always the person. You know,
Okay.
families usually doesn't move if his son or daughter doesn't ask anything. You know what I mean? And in the most of the cases I met, the person must to ask many times. You know, the cases I met, most of the persons, most of the people and most of the families tell me, well, my son or my daughter was talking about that through years and years, and we are worried about to hear it about independent life. Okay, let's try, let's see, you know. So with that, I want to say independent life for those people, it's not instant. You know, it's not yet. It's very slowly. It's very later, and they have to save many obstacles, you know, and resistance. We have to know. Until very recently, we can imagine a person with Down syndrome living independently, you know. And still now, for most of the people, it's a very unusual picture, okay? But little by little, it's more usual.
Yes, if I translate well from Turkish to English, living separately is my own request. It could be maybe like final thoughts. Like you said, the person with disability say, this is my request. I would like to live independently. Maybe it could be conclusion for our today webinar. Yes, that's important that we listen our son or doctor what they would like to do. Like you said, that is a long process, but if we don't start, we will never do that. Professor, yeah, if you would like say like final, let's say,
you know,
today.
I just want to subscribe your affirmation and only say, please invest in the self-determination of your sons and your daughters, okay? And enjoy when they ask you uncomfortable things. This is a very good thing when they ask for things that makes you feel uncomfortable and insecure. Probably there is a very good way to arrive into independent living.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I would like to conclude our today webinar. Thanks for all answer and thanks for presentation. It was very interesting to see how you, let's say, develop in Spain and what you did and what could be very good source for all of us in the whole of Europe in our European Down Syndrome Association. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, and thanks to all of you who attend to today webinar. We are looking forward to see you again in the April. We will inform you when it will be our webinar. That will be webinar what we planned in February. Unfortunately, we didn't succeed in that time because of the very hard time for our Turkish friends and Turkish nations because of the earthquake, what was very frightened for all of us, but mostly for them. And we still need to help these people because it's very hard situation there after that very hard earthquake what was happened. See in next month, most probably in this similar third week, but we will send you information when our next webinar will be. Thanks a lot, Professor Pep, and also has a very fruitful work. Continue with this very nice work what you are doing, and all people who are working with you. Congratulations and thanks a lot for your experience. Bye bye.
Thank you all of you. Bye bye.
Bye.